Everyone has a story behind his life. Some edit rough, others edit smooth. It all depends on the fate that you find yourself in. Join me, Samson Boit, on my story show every Monday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Riverside TV. Welcome viewer to another episode of my story show. Remember, I normally say everyone has a story behind his or her own life. It all depends on the fate that you find yourself in. Talk to us on our social media platforms, that is Riverside TV Kenya, that is Instagram, Facebook. Our email address is riversidetvke@gmail.com. You can call us on 0722-878-111. And today we are privileged to have one lady, one beautiful girl who has fought it in life. She has gone through a lot and she'll be sharing her story to us. Remember, I'm your host, Samson Boit. Welcome our guest. Let me begin by knowing, what are your names?
Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is JEMIMAH, known as JEMIMAH Redefined, because I'm redefining a few things in life. I was born in Machakos County. So I started my school life at Kilimanjaro Junior Academy, that's in Loitoktok. We went to Boit, Ukambani. That's where I went to for around 5 years. I was in Ukambani, Boit area. And then from there, of course, mambo ya transfer ikakuwa mingi. So we had to go to boarding school now. I finished my primary school at Karura Adventist School. Growing up as a young girl, I started my menses at 13 years old. Yes, so I believe for every teenager they start different times, but for me it was that time. So this kind of period, it was the painful one, extra pain, long prolonged periods for 7 days, and heavy flow. Heavy bleeding. So you can imagine starting your period, ukiwa shule, you've been anticipating, you see other girls, having their periods, and you're like, why am I not having my periods? And they seem to be excited about it. But when it came to me, I was like, is everybody really going through this, or there's an issue? And I was not enjoying my periods like other girls were enjoying their periods. And I didn't know what the problem was. So anytime I would talk about the pain, having to miss class sometimes, because when they start, JEMIMAH for 2 days ayuko class. I have to be in the hospital, drips and all that, because I used to get dehydrated a lot. So for me, I didn't really get why my menses were this crazy. And every time you go to the hospital, the nurses are like, hii kitu itaisha ukizaa. I'm like, come on, it's normal. I don't see other girls behaving like me. And then you're telling me, when I give birth, that's when this pain is going to go away. I'm 13. I just started. So, are you encouraging me to get pregnant right now? Because no one likes pain.
Sure.
No one likes pain.
Sure.
So, for me, it was traumatizing. It was crazy. But I thank God, because that even if I got trauma at school and other people not understanding me, my parents did. So, pia wao walikuwa, how can we help her get out of this situation? And it really affected my life, actually, because growing up with a brother, it's not easy to disclose some things, especially that time. Talking about menses was termed as taboo. Isi kitu ya kuongea mbele ya watu, it's dirty, it should be hidden. So for me, I was like, you can't even talk to people, and then don't even talk about them messing, because the flow is too heavy. They were just worried for me, because when the pain came, it was not good. I could cry, roll on the floor. You want a cold surface. Unalala chini kwa tiles. You just want na mtu asikuguze, because you get comfort from there. Because even the painkillers are not helping. Umemeza diclofenac, the strongest painkiller you can take, add it to a point where by now inabidi udungwe shindano. And it's not one, two of them. And after a few hours, dawa imemaliza kazi yake, the pain comes back. So it was just a temporary solution at that time. Because for me to come and find out that I had fibroids, I had to go through some stages. So later on in life, when of course nimekuwa mkubwa, I'm at work, the same period pains, the same procedures going on, and boss hataki kuelewa. So a colleague of mine asks me, have you ever done a scan? Like, ushaenda hospitali hata you see a gynecologist? And I'm like, gynecologist? Huyo ni nani? And it's a doctor specified for women. And I'm like, no, I've never. So she advised me, I would like you to visit a gynecologist, get to know what is really going on, because for that long, and this pain has never gone away, there has to be an issue.
Sure.
So that's when I did my first scan, ultrasound. I went to Aga Khan Hospital, and yes, the gynecologist advised me to do a scan. That's when I found out that I have fibroids. And I'm like, what are fibroids? Kwani ni nini hizi? So the doctor tells me these are growths in your uterus. And I'm like, are they cancerous? That was my first question. He told me no, but if you're anticipating to get a child, it could be challenging. So immediately curiosity hapa kule, and they also found out that I had a cyst on the right ovary. So we have cysts and we have fibroids, but I didn't know much about the cyst because I think ilitolewa during the surgery, when I was doing the surgery. So after looking up on fibroids, that is what terrified me. Samson, unaona kitu and then you're like, hii kitu iko kwa mwili yangu. Like, how is this even in my body? It was ugly. It was bad. It was terrible. It was around 7 centimeters. So you can imagine kitu ya 7 centimeters, that could be the size of an orange. That is the biggest
In your body.
in your uterus. Now, uterus is not big. Uterus is something like this. It's a small one. So you have such a growth inside your uterus, and there are other multiple. They are not giving you the sizes. And I'm like, what do I need to do about these things? Like, Googling them, they're already scary. And the doctor advised me to do a surgery because he told me if we get rid of them, even if now if you want to get a baby, like, and then get a baby ASAP as soon as possible. You don't have a boyfriend. Not mtoto happy surely. But the advice was that I do a surgery to just kutoa whatever was being seen.
Yes.
Yes. So that's when I got to know what fibroids are. A cyst is something like a sac with fluid, and it's found on the ovaries. So ovaries, we have the right ovary and the left ovary. So mine was on the right, inaka kamfuko hivi kamejaa maji. So sometimes this is caused by hormonal imbalance. Unapata there's so much, like hata mayai ikikuwa released, there's just so much happening on your ovaries. So I wouldn't have much knowledge on the cyst because I've not had that interaction with it a lot. But it's a sac thing inakwanga kwa ovaries, which can also cause infertility in women. Yeah, and also it can cause that crazy periods. So there's one incident that iliniuma, but it's my life. So of course, being at school, for me nilikuwa na stigma sana because people used to be like, msichana na ringa, you know, kwani yeye peke yake ndiye akona periods, like hearing such from other people na ni ukipita tu unasikia unasemwa. For me that kind of lowered my self-esteem. And also I remember, as I mentioned before, we used to go for transfers a lot, so I needed to transfer from a certain school to another. And we had to do interviews. So too bad for Jemima, interviews zimekuja when I'm in that situation. And you know, day 2 is bad. So that's the time I'm supposed to do interview. Me tumeenda, tumefika shule, I can't do the interview. So I just said, nitarudia class, I'll just repeat. And that meant my brother catching up with me, mwenye ananifuata. Catching up with me will be in the same class. No one wants that. Tunataka kukua mbele as the firstborn, you know. So it was a good experience actually being in the same class with him. But for me, I felt singerudia, unajua. I could have done this interview and gone to the next class. So that, being that young, of course, it will affect. And also at work, no one understands. Boss anashindwa, what's wrong with this? Like everybody, hata wanawake wengine when they're having periods in the office, you don't know, why does she have to miss work for 2 days? I had to. The pain was bad.
Yes.
So for me, I would say most of the things that, the biggest thing my situation did to me was to have low self-esteem and not being able to talk about the issue. Not even trying to make people understand, because what are you making people understand if yourself you don't understand it? So I had to wait until I give birth. ndio uchungu ishe, because aki painkillers were not helping. And after the surgery, because after daktari advised me to do the surgery, mi sikufikiria mara mbili. I just called my parents, I told them nimeenda ile scan and it's bad. Doctor advised this and this, can I go ahead? They told me sure, they were willing to pay, and they paid a good amount of money for that surgery to happen, knowing that my nightmare is going to be cleared, I'm going to have smooth periods, the pain will be gone, the days are going to reduce. That's what the doctor told me. And so nikaanguka nayo. I did the surgery. One thing fibroids does to you, depending on the location, you have painful sex, and it's not easy, especially from the man. Sasa zingine anafikiri unajifanya utaki ujisikira stories zake. Yeah, so but at that particular time, I think mine was understanding. They knew what I was going through, and they offered me support. So after I did the surgery, the pain actually didn't go away. It was still there. Period 7 days kama kawaida. Unavaa diaper, because pads cannot hold the flow. You have to be on diaper, especially ukilala usiku, because utamess too. Yeah, so nothing changed for me. I was a bit disappointed because I've struggled with this thing for 13 years, 13 years, ndo nikuje kujua I have fibroids. It was bad. It was terrible for me. So I thought it was gone. Now you can imagine the disappointment I got later to find out it's still there. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nilitolewa hizi fibroids hata. Let's start there. Because from the experience I have now, when someone goes for surgery, wanaonyeshwa kenye wametolewa. Me, I was not shown. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to judge or say they were not removed, but I wish I saw them for me to be sure. Because after my incidents then, I was like, no, I can't go on with this pain. Like, apart from surgery, there's no other alternative. Like, hakuna tu njia ingine mtu anaweza saidika. Actually, when I got married, of course, kuna najisikia you want to get pregnant.
Yes.
So I got pregnant, of course, in 2018. Well, me, I don't know how to explain this pregnancy. It was bad.
Yes, tell us.
You're supposed to be happy you're pregnant.
Yeah, I know.
But now, unajua zile vitu bado ziko kwa uterus. Now imagine them growing with a child in the uterus. So as the kid feeds, the fibroids are also growing. So me, I was in pain. I was in hospital, in and out of hospital every week to manage the pain and for the baby to grow healthy. We tried for that 5 weeks. So at that 5 weeks, I go to my gyna. Nikamwambia, normal check-up, ile tu mnaenda unafanywa scan, and they're like, So naingia kwa room ya scan, that lady amenifanyia scan. Naona she's not satisfied. The look on her face, I'm like, okay. Akaita mtu wa pili, akaniambia wait a minute, akaita mwingine. Akakuja wakaangalia, wakaita watatu, nikamwambia guy, kuna shida, like you guys are making me panic. Wakaniambia just take these results to your gyna. And I'm like, hey, inakaa mbaya. So I called the gyna immediately. Akaniambia, what does the result say? Nikamsomea, because for them I think they are not allowed to disclose, maybe until sasa gyna wako wa kudisclose here. So he tells me, you don't have any amniotic fluid. Ile maji ya mtoto.
Yes.
Hauna. And I'm like, ilienda wapi? Sijawahi leak. I've never leaked. Akaniambia, that means huyo mtoto haizi endelea kukaa. We have to do an emergency CS for you to deliver at 35 weeks. So mimi huyo, it was on a Friday. I had to be put on injections for the baby's lungs to mature, ndio at least akitoka aweze kupumua on their own. So I was put on that injection over the weekend. Ndio niende nizae Tuesday. I was, ushaikuwa disappointed. I was like, I just want to meet this baby. Nijue amekuwa akisurvive aje kwa hiyo tumbo. So mimi huyo, I had to adhere to whatever the doctor said. The next week on Monday, nikaenda hosi, nikalala, asubuhi nikaingia theater. Everything was okay. Hata nikiingia theater, the baby was still playing in the womb. But a few minutes later, I'm like, nasikia nikishikwa tumbo, sijui aje niko. Kwani doc umemaliza? Ananiambia, we are done. So kume mtoto like you have to be given the anesthesia, kwanza uchizi, like uko tu. But for me, nilidungwa ile nusu, so I could still talk to the doctor. So after a few minutes akaniambia we done, but the baby amekimbizwa wapi? Kwa nursery, kwa incubator. Yes. I'm like, is everything okay? Akaniambia yeah, it's fine. Ni venye tu mtoto niko na hajalia, sijasikia hata akilia. Akaniambia ametoka ina certain condition, so tukasema acha tumkimbize kwanza and then you'll see the baby later. Nikatoka, of course theater pressure iko kwenye inataka. So I'm there waiting, hata niambiwe mtoto anaendelea aje. No one is telling me anything. Nilika kwa recovery room for like an hour and a half wakimonitor pressure ishuke kwa zilikuwa juu sana. So I stayed there. So time natolewa, of course unatolewa kwa ile kitanda unasukumwa. Ndio niende nipandishwe kwa lift. I see people, faces I know, of course my brother, my friends, my husband was there then that time. So niko mbona watu wanakaa ni kama kuna huzuni, wamepanic ni nini?
They should be celebrating.
Yeah. Me dawa already inanikoroga, so I didn't pay much attention. So nikapelekwa kwa ward. So kwenda kwa ward, no one is coming to visit me and I'm like, watu wako sawa? Dawa ikanibeba nikalala. So when I wake up, it's afternoon and I'm like, kwani? So a friend came in the ward and I'm like, mtoto wako wapi? Akaniambia mtoto wako sawa, ako kwa incubator. Daktari anakuja kukuona around 7. Nikamwambia tu ni sawa because of course nilijua mtoto hawezi kuwa sawa with the condition alikuwa nayo, so I had to hope kila kitu iko sawa. So until the doctor comes in the evening akaniambia Jemima, we are sorry, the baby did not make it.
What?
Yeah. She passed on actually 20 minutes after birth. So all that time hakuna mtu angenibreakia news. Sure? Hadi daktari akuja niambie.
Sure.
Ushisikia kupiga nduru, uko na stitches fresh, you don't know how to cry. You don't know what to do. Like they disappoint, like machozi tu ilipita. I cried, I sobbed, So when niko nao kwa room seeing me like that, they just left. Juu tunaanzaje kucomfort mtu kama huyu?
Na mtoto hujamuona.
Sijamuona tangu ni mzae asubuhi na ndio naambiwa hayuko. It was so heartbreaking. It was bad. It was terrible. It's a pain that I think that was, apart from the painful periods, that was another pain that my first pain in life yenye nisha experience na ije nitoka kwa kichwa hadi wa leo. So for me it was crazy, it was bad, and kutoka hapo sasa ni the next day kwa zile usiku, the next day nikapelekwa nikaona mtoto kwa hiyo mali alikuwa amewekwa. So they asked if anaenda kuzika ama they dispose. I just told them dispose cause ndanzi aje kwenda kuzika katoto kama ako. So I was like mtoto wenyewe, like I felt, but I really wanted her to be a warrior, like nijue ni ulipambana na hizo fibroids because they are bad. Na kwambia ukiona fibroids, actually you should Google after this. They are bad, and those things growing na mtoto, it's not something you would love for even anyone. So for me later on, you asked me if kama mafanywa ni feel sijui aje.
It's like you don't belong.
Yeah, so it was just, of course, challenges zukua, but for this particular point I was made to feel like it was my fault the baby died. Yeah, because I had fibroids, and that didn't go well with me because no one calls fibroids kujeni mkae kwa uterus. Unajua it's not my fault. Yeah, so it was just that one time, but I got through it.
Viewers, we are going for a short break, and when we will be back, Jemimah will be telling us more about our healing process. Don't touch that button.
Are you a pastor or a gospel minister located in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Kisumu, Kitale, or Kakamega? Are you looking for a platform to air your preaching? Riverside TV is here for you. We offer live streams and recorded sermons. You can now contact us on 011 413 1600 or 0723 831 624. Get us at our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram at Riverside TV KE, and on YouTube at Riverside TV Kenya. Riverside TV, inspiring and refreshing.
Welcome, viewer, to this episode of My Story Show. What our guest we got today is JEMIMAH telling us about a process, a healing process on fibroids. Remember, before we went for the short break, she was telling us about how she began her treatment. Please talk to us on our social media platforms, that is Facebook, Riverside TV Kenya, Instagram, also the same. Our email address is riversidetvke@gmail.com. Welcome back.
I think for me, I was bitter with doing another surgery because I was supposed to go back for another surgery. So by the time I was giving birth, the biggest fibroid at that time, it was 6.5
centimeters.
Yes.
Wow.
And multiple others. So when you hear multiple others,
There are many.
There are many. So they just give you the size of the big one for you to know how your uterus is. So, you know, they say desperate times call for desperate measures.
Exactly.
So for me, I decided to be like, there has to be an alternative. Like haiwezi kuwa tu ni surgery. Si hata Kenya Power tukicheza itakuwa overtaken by solar system.
Exactly.
I think Nairobi water maji tu ndio ni kama hakunanga alternative ingine. But ziko kisima, kuna unaweza enda kwa river.
Yes.
So anything has another thing that can replace it or another way out. So many they have to Google, and I made use of Google very well. They say Google is a good teacher.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, is there any other way one can deal with fibroids? And what causes fibroids? The moment you understand a root cause of something, it's easier to deal with it. So what I found out is that some fibroids are genetic. Unaweza inherit from your mother, from your shosho, from whoever. Some.
Yes.
Then others could be because of lifestyle, hormones. You know hormones controls 90% of us. Hormones ndio nywele, hormones ndio skin, hormones ndio nails. So if your hormones are not in check, utakuwa tuna pimples.
Exactly.
Your face won't look glowing like mine is glowing right now. Your hair won't be healthy.
Sure.
Your nails won't be healthy. So there are few things, like hormones plays a big role in our lives. So one thing you have to check, are my hormones in check? So for me, I had hormonal imbalance.
Yes.
Which nilijua, if I don't take care of hormones, then tutasumbuka for long. Okay? Number 2, there are things that we use zenye ziko, like, let's go to foods. Foods, kuna chakula ziko grown na synthetic ways of growing food. Kama hizi tunapenda sana kuingia kwa fast foods. You eat chipo na kuku.
Yes.
That kuku has been imedungwa shindano za hormones ndio igrow haraka. So that hormone ikikuja ikutane na yako kwa mwili, nothing is going to be normal. And then something else, do you know plastic kind of contributes to hormonal issues and growth of fibroids?
Yes.
So something that if you give me a chance, we can have a talk on details, more details on what causes fibroids and how to avoid them. But then vitamin D3, that is one thing that if you are low on that, then chances of you having fibroids is high. So you iko kwa side ya nutritional and diet.
Yes.
So when I found out about these things, nikajua tu, let me do a checkup, nijue what is not happening. But for me, the first thing that ilikuja, hormonal imbalance. For me, it was not genetic, because my mama aliniambia yeye hajai kuwa na fibroids, na yeye hajui mtu yote kwa familia yao hashai kuwa na fibroids. Neither on my dad's side. So I knew this is something yenye maybe imekosiwa na lifestyle or changes kwa mwili tu because of what we eat from tukiwa wadogo. Because I told you I started periods at 13. So by the time nakuja kufika 13 years later, ndio nakam kufind out I have fibroids, yet the pain started from the first day I began my periods. So that could have been something yenye imegrow ikijiform through lifestyle, what we eat. Sometimes this air is too polluted. Mafuta tunajipaka.
Yes.
You know, there are things in there
Yes.
that inaingia kidogo kidogo kwa mwili, but in 5 years kutakuwa na damage kubwa sana.
Exactly.
Unaona? So for me, after realizing this, I had to be like, so what can correct hormones? And hapo ndipo I came across supplements.
Okay.
Food supplements. So I'm like, supplements ni nini, ni madawa, ni nini. So checking on supplements, they are food based.
Yes.
You know, they are food based. Sometimes unaambiwa you need to have enough iron kutoka kwa spinach. How much milk are you going to drink? You know? So sometimes like technology imekuja ya juu sana that these things you can acquire them in a tablet or a capsule. So for me, niko zile okay, this is interesting. Na si kali. Unajua paracetamol ni kali wewe. So trying to check out like I was curious to understand about hormonal supplements.
Yes.
So that's how my healing journey started, and also changing diet. Kuna chakula you try to avoid. Red meat is crazy. Carbonated drinks, artificial sugars, like they just accelerate. Kwanza kama already zina exist. Ni kama unakwanga ukizifeed. It's like watering them, unaziambia I need to see flowers, I need to see fruits, na zinaendelea tu kugrow. So there are foods that feed the fibroids, and there are measures that you take. Una cut supply ya whatever inazifanya zigrow. So if something you are not giving it the supply na inahitaji kugrow, it starts dying.
Exactly.
So they start shrinking. So during that time, I contacted a certain company yenye niliona, you know, their products seem to be making headlines and good testimonies. So me, I got started. I used supplements to balance my hormones. They had supplements to shrink tumors. You know, for you to cut supply or whatever in a feed the tumor, you have to stop feeding it. So I had an anti-tumor supplement. You have to do detox. Mwili already iko na hizo mavitu zote, iko na dawa from the hospital. I had to do a detox, a proper detox. Ni kama tu uende unaingia nyumba yenye mtu ameshaishi huko. So utaingia kama umeosha na duster tu mara moja na sabuni. You have to sweep.
Exactly.
Toa hiyo uchafu kwanza and then come osha na duster na sabuni yako vizuri.
Exactly.
So that is what detox does. And then it also helps the liver function well, because nimefanya research, naweza fikiria mimi ni daktari. I need to be called daktari, you know. So I've done some good research that I use right now to educate people from experience and from whatever I'm finding out. So detoxing inafanya whatever supplements una take zinakuwa absorbed kwa mwili vizuri sana, and they work faster. So I took the products for like 5 months.
5 months?
Yes. Since November 2018. Tuseme to December, because I found out about them. So of course, could get dough, because I didn't want to get started with something then I turn this idea.
Yes.
So I had to have some money to get the full package. And within 5 months, of course, and the pads, sanitary napkins. We need to have a show on sanitary napkins, Samson.
We will.
Because the kind of sanitary napkins we are using out here ni number 1 ya accelerate nini? Gynecological issues, including cyst, blocked tubes. Those are some of the issues that women get apart from fibroids. Najua leo umesikia tu fibroids.
Yes.
Kuna cyst, kuna kitu inaitwa PCOS, kuna endometriosis, kuna blocked tubes, kuna infections haziishi, PIDs. A lot. So the kind of pad you use, actually that was the number 1 point ya kuchange.
Yes.
Use an organic pad. A breathing pad. Pad yenye, you know, hata nikwambie kitu. Me, I'm breaking the silence. Naongelelea hizo taboos zenye hatufai kuongelelea mbele ya watu.
Very good.
So that blood ikikuja inakuanga moto. Ikuje ipatane na pad. This pad is, if it's not organic, if it has synthetic material, of course, ikichanganyikana, it becomes something else.
Yes.
Now find out your pad, the bottom layer should have some pores. I call it a breathing pad to emit the heat.
Yes.
If you're not emitting the heat, where is the heat going? Going
body.
back to the uterus.
To the system.
Hapo ndipo by the time unamalizana na period zako za siku 3, lazima ukimbie chemist uambie daktari ile dawa ya infection. Ile dawa ya infection. Kuna watu lazima after period apate dawa ya infection. So that is one thing that we need to check. What kind of a pad are you wearing? And then now come, because it ina disrupt hormones. Ni kitu kidogo lakini ina disrupt hormones kabisa.
Sure.
So for me within that 5 months, mimi nashanga periods like niko zile watu wanasikianga hivi bila kuumwa na tumbo. Like that was my first painless period in 13 years. Actually let's say 14 years. And I'm like wow. Mimi hata ya kwanza vile ilikuja after nimedeliver mtoto. Mimi nikuta tu niko mbona nasikia nikaa nimejikojolea. Mimi sijai kutwa hivyo na period. Lazima inianze kuniuma 3 days before ikuje. Iniambie we are coming. So that time mimi nimekutwa and I'm like hii ni period. So from there niko hebu nione next month kama itauma. That was even ndivyo periods zangu ziliacha uchungu.
Wow.
And within 5 months niko mbona this time don't periods azikuji ni nini mbaya. Kumbe nimenaswa. Nimekutwa. I'm pregnant.
Yes.
Mimi kwanza nilishtuka niko mimba tena. Nikikumbuka vile last year ilikuwa, it was not funny. Nikamwambia tu Mungu, umekubali nipate mimba. Hii lazima iende hadi mwisho. Kupanic, hizi products zimenisaidia ama tu nimekuwa nikifanya wana hapa scan mara moja. To my shock.
You're pregnant.
From 6.5 to 3 centimeters. Na mimba ndio hii. Hata hii kunipea signs ati kutapika tapika. Me I never had morning sickness. Me I just told God huu mwendo tutaumaliza salama. You know? Huu mwendo lazima tuumalize salama. And God did it for me. Me that was the best pregnancy. Of course we compare now with what I had first.
Sure.
Smooth. Niliwork. Mimi ungenikuta kwa streets nikifanya vitu zangu. Hadi my colleagues walikuwa zile za ngai. Itabidi sasa ukae nyumbani, we will do deliveries for you. Unakuja tu kwa ofisi na uko tu huku. Niko lakini siumwi na mahali. Like I loved my journey. And on 2020, 1st of January, tunavuka mwaka hivi. Mimi niko na bundle of joy.
Wow. Wow.
A baby boy.
That's a blessing.
Yes, who just turned 5 years.
Wow.
The other day.
That's a blessing.
So for me, that was the journey of healing. Unajua Mungu, acha nitumie word nasikianga mtu akisema, unajua Mungu si Kamau.
I know.
You know?
Yes.
Akisema I'm giving you plants.
Yes.
And fruits and nuts for your healing. He knew what he was saying. It might take some time.
Sure.
It's a process.
Yes.
But this is what your body needs. Your body does not need synthetic things for it to function. So this journey inahitaji pia someone to hold your hand. I know like people don't know where to start. Don't even know how to talk about it because ni tabu kuongea mambo ya wanawake kwa watu. What are you saying? Hiyo ni kitu ficha hapo. You don't say such things to people. But we are here to break the silence.
Sure.
And save someone who anafeel mimi nimefika mwisho. Hizi infections haziishangi. Niko na blocked fallopian tubes. Cyst nimeenda surgery zimerudi tena. Endometriosis. Endometriosis is so crazy. When it gets to stage 3, 4, it's bad. Unaumwa and in memory of Jambi Koikai.
Sure.
For her, she came to find out she has endometriosis. After how long?
It took time.
It took time.
Exactly.
Over 10 years.
Sure.
For a diagnosis to be done. Wajue hii uchungu msichana amekuwa akifeel, kumbe ni endometriosis. Mine took 13 years to find out I have fibroids. Like hiyo time nilikuwa naumwa. Daktari tu angesema after periods, because ukifanya scan when you have periods, your uterus looks bulky. So maliza periods, let's do a scan. So for me that is my healing journey.
Let me ask you this question. How was the feeling when you realized now these things are completely healed? I don't have the feelings. I don't have the pains. How was the feeling?
Of course it was heavenly. Because during periods, for me nilijua this thing was working because when you go to the washroom during periods or even when you're not on your periods, unasikia tu cramps kamekushika, something falls off and you are like nini. Me and I'm so nasty. I have to confirm the texture of whatever has come out. And I'm like, this is not a blood clot. Hii ni kitu imengoka mahali. And for me, I was like, kumbe tu, there was another way out here.
Of healing.
But before I got there, I had to do the surgery.
Sure.
Which was the available way then. Na hizi vitu, they come back. You know, like kufia kanyasi. Next month you will do the same thing.
Yes, imemea tena.
Imemea tena. Zile maua za kuchonga hivi. Not unless you uproot something. Ung'oe mizizi. You have not dealt with an issue.
Wow.
You've not dealt with it. But for me, it was heavenly. It was beautiful. Kitu ya kwanza have painless period. Watu wanasikianga hivi. Like huko tu, I'm not wearing diapers anymore. Navaa tu pad vizuri. So, for me, that was beautiful. I thank God for that.
Yes.
And they say sometimes you have to go through a test for you to have a testimony and for you to even help someone else. You can't help someone when you don't have something to help them with.
Yes.
So it's from there that my passion to talk about women health came. That is where my passion to talk about women health came. And it all starts at the menstruation. So if we don't address the menstruation, we can't address fibroids.
Sure.
We can't address endometriosis. So I love talking to young girls about periods.
Yes.
I love advocating for early screening. Too much pain during periods, it's not normal.
Sure.
You have to be checked. But isn't it to normalize kwa hii society? And that's why we are here to break the silence, break the taboos. Let's talk about these issues and let's have a period-friendly world. For if someone out there is going through the same, or you know someone who is going through the same, let's have a conversation. I've been there, I've walked the journey, and I'm able to understand what I didn't understand a few years ago. So get in touch, let's get to know what is this, what is the root cause, how can we deal with it, and how can you have a better life. So here's my number. Feel free to contact me 0724 140 117 or 0722 878111. And we will be happy to help you, to walk this journey with you. And you know, at the end of the day, you need a shoulder to lean on. You need someone to talk to, someone who understands what you've been through and what you are going through. So reach us in any of those numbers and we'll be able to help you out.
And this brings us to the end of our show today. Remember, our guest was JEMIMAH Nzisa, who was telling us about her healing process, all concerning fibroids. Talk to us on our social media platforms. That's Riverside TV Kenya, Instagram and Facebook. Our email address is riversidetvke@gmail.com. You can call us on 0722 878 111. Thank you. God bless.